Every dream was the same, as was his life, more of the same. Each morning Wazoo woke up early and worked the fields. Then the same musty tavern and the endless fucking mugs. The same commute home each night. But then there was the dream. It was always through the mists, but Wazoo saw in his mind a vision of a huge army, with him on a horse at the head of it. Like most dreams, though, it was fuzzy and unreal, and each morning he awoke to the same abysmal reality. On the day of his 40th birthday, after being told he had to work overtime, Wazoo finally had enough. After beating the shit out of his landlord and smashing up the mugs at the tavern he worked at, he was arrested by the city guard and taken to Prince Unqid, son of the Sultan Mahmud. Now, Prince Unqid remembered Wazoo's fists at the siege of Razi, and seeing his immense size, recommended he take his anger out at the city's arena. Lacking a noble title, Wazoo was relegated to the peasants' arena, where armor was rare and so was honor, as the poor and degenerate citizens of Ayakis fought out lethal tournaments for pitifully small prize money. After losing his first match and utterly untrained with weapons, Wazoo discarded his heavy shield and awkward mace, choosing rather to stomp his foes with his massive feet, crush them with haymakers, and bob and weave with the skills he had honed during the evening's commute. Initially angered by the cowardly fighting style of his opponents, Wazoo eventually learned to let them fight each other when possible and smash the remaining survivor. Fighting only 2 or 3 combatants at a time seemed easy to Wazoo, used to 8 to 10 ruffians throttling him each evening. The crowd loved Wazoo's fearless style, ruthless violence, and roared with approval with each defeated foe. Until there was none left standing. Wazoo had won 4 tournaments in 5 days and earned 1,000 dinars. Combatants would recall these brawls years later and would often say that the scariest thing they ever faced was being cornered by the 7-foot-tall Wazoo and pounded against the wall. Even Prince Unqid roared with approval and would remember his name. Later that week, and just a few days after his 40th birthday, Wazoo saw 2 soldiers and a longtime friend of his, crippled from a lifetime of farming, and instantly chose his future. Saying goodbye to his beloved home of Ayakis, Wazoo hired the entire band of ruffians that had fought him for years and embarked upon the final great adventure of his life. Now free, with his destiny in his own hands, he dreamed of the glory to come, of dinars in his pockets, and of clothes that might fit his enormous equipment. Wazoo never had the same dream again, that one where he was in charge of an army, and he wondered if that was because his dream was indeed about to become a reality. Only time would tell. Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment as we continue on here with our Aserai campaign. Wazoo, fresh off of 4 devastating victories in what we'll call the peasants' arenas, right? This guy's collected a little bit of money. We are role-playing, of course, and we're starting to look over our little ever-growing posse here of troops. We got this desert bandit boss that we were able to recruit, right? We basically said, no, bandit life is not the life, dude. You want to join us? And what we're going to do is we're going to beat up on the bandits. So in this episode, we're going to do some more quests probably. Hopefully, we become a mercenary soon. Mercenary is, of course, a good way to make money early on in a campaign. We're still only level 7, but things I would say are going pretty well so far. A lot of these quests, I don't know how to do them, so I'll be skipping them. But we're definitely, we'll escort some caravans here. Let's see. Escort the caravan. I'll escort it myself. Pick up any troops along the way. Of course, we want to have a sizable force, and you're going to see me continue to focus on the steward skill, right? We're also going to hit every single little tiny village on the way here. You can multitask. Sometimes you can even chase down some looters if they happen to be close enough. As well as escorting this caravan. Now, for those who don't know, you got to kind of stay with this little camel camel fella here on the map, and basically there are scripted battles that will be fighting here and gaining EXP, gaining some experience, learning to swing our weapon, that kind of things, right? These are all the traditional things that the developers put into a game like this to make sure that you get better at the game, right? It's going to get harder in the days to come, and so this is essentially like an appendage almost of the training ground. Now again, you see our steward skill, we are learning fast, and that's going to increase our capacity of troops. Train troops. We'll definitely train troops, take this quest every single time they'll accept it. Basically, you get some extra troops. Oh shit, we're losing our caravan here. There's Unquid, the Sultan. We will talk to our future vassal here. There's an opportunity. Oh, no, this is just my caravan. Okay, sorry, I thought this was another battle going on here. So this is what we have to protect, right? We are going to protect these guys at all possible. We are going to basically fight these in fast mode like this. You can tell from the power bar that there's zero chance of losing this. This is one of those situations, unquestionably, where you can F1, F3. I will do some micromanagement, probably just because I'm used to it at this stage. No idea if it's beneficial at this stage. And we will chop some of these villains down with our giant broadsword. Ugh! That thing sounds like it hurts, huh? When you hit a guy with this sword, it's all jagged and shit. That probably hasn't been washed in 2 weeks. I don't know how that javelin missed him right in the back. But again, as you can see here, I'm going to take some practice here. My character is very weak still, of course. We're getting chopped down by fucking dudes with the bull haircut. But these little things here, and I'll speed these up. I won't subject you guys to hundreds of hours of chasing down desert bandits and shit like that. I will show, you know, a few of these though, because some guys expressed an interest in this. So we're going to chase these guys down and play this kind of fast and loose. We'll probably make some mistakes because of that. In fact, like that blow there, obviously, if you can't tell, we're running things sped up here again with the RTS mod. And look at them run. Yeah, we victorious. Ah, glory. We get some levels, characters level up, and we're going to take some prisoners here, these pillagers and ransackers. There's a few quests where you can turn those guys in. We'll definitely take advantage of that. We got some nice loot out of that. And some of these prisoners, of course, it's nice to recruit, right? It's nice to be able to have 5 to 15 prisoners all the time, because eventually these guys will, the little process, if they're in your army long enough, I guess you're giving them daily beatings, or maybe you're giving them daily dishes with olives, and you can convince them to join your army. Whatever the case, eventually those prisoners become valuable members of your party. And early on, right, if you have 10 or 15 prisoners and you get stuck in a battle that's difficult, very nice to be able to grab 5, 6, 7, 8 prisoners and immediately improve your army, right? You do lose some morale. You've got to be careful about that. But as long as you're not overzealous in your recruitment, it's a nice way to augment your force. All right, evidently we're going to get laid here in Hassan Folk. We'll stay the night. We'll pick up a venereal disease. So there are certain companions that I want and certain companions I don't want. What I want is warriors, and I want as future leaders, potential stewards. Tournament. We'll do some tournaments here. Tribesman throwing axe. That's about a worthless tournament prize, but you know what we can do with it? We can sell that motherfucker. We're getting shot already. There goes a third of my health. Got to be a little careful here. I'm kind of trying to guard this archer here because I got this posse coming up, and we're probably fucked here. Let's see what we can do here. Fortunately, they're all attacking this one guy here. My combat skills are pretty good, but outnumbered 2 to 1. We're running for our lives here. One of the nice things, of course, is that if we can get these forces just to simply fight each other, we may not have to defeat them, right? If you don't know, half these forces move forward in an arena, so we'll take a little opportunity here to clobber that guy. Okay, so now it's just yellow, red, and blue, so we're going to run around, and effectively all I'm trying to do is get these guys to fight each other with my sliver of health. As long as they kill each other like that, now we can advance, right? I guess you could call that a gimmick, but it's the rules of the game. All right, so now we're forced to one on one, and similarly, all we're going to do here is simply let these guys duke it out. I'll sit at the fringes here, the margins, safely throw some javelins at range, and if they attack me, I will simply turn and run and make them fight each other. As soon as we kill one of these guys, we advance, we get laid, all that kind of good stuff. medieval venereal diseases, you get syphilis and shit like that. A little fun thing about syphilis, I can get into syphilis here because tournaments tend to be rather boring, right? You just kick guys, move forward, and kill them. We'll finish this tournament here. I guess I better focus in case I lose. Remind me about syphilis in the comments. Oh, shit. Like one headshot here and I'm almost down. Now I'm going to have to bob and weave here and pull out a victory. Motherfucker. Oh, shit. He's blocking. Let's hit his knees. These guys are always vulnerable in their knees. Fucking break out the syphilis sword. Down you go, bitch. We advance to the finals here. We'll be a little bit more cautious with the incoming javelins at our face. And now this guy's fucked, right? We should be able to throw a couple right into his face, and that'll be this tournament. We collect a nice, valuable throwing axe. Are you not entertained? Right? We will do some Russell Crowe emulation. We get some renown and a nice little throwing axe here, and that was about as easy as it could be. So syphilis. Let's see if I can sneak this in here. Another quest I don't really know how to do. The betting fraud it has to do with arenas. We're not going to be doing a ton of arenas simply because I don't want to bore you guys to death. So while I even out this food, and again, I've talked about this, you want to have all types of food to increase your steward skill. So you're going to see me doing this a lot in the campaign. I want to have 2, 3, 4 items of each of the food, because if you have all 9 and you have a good sized army, you gain an incredible amount of EXP through the steward skill. Now we're just going to sell that axe. We're going to sell some of this other shit. And while I'm doing this sort of interior housekeeping, 30 seconds on syphilis. Of course, syphilis today is an STD. When syphilis first came out, it was devastatingly nasty to the host, right? To the person that caught this sexually transmitted disease. It started really expanding in Europe in the 15th and 1600s, and one of the effects of it is it made your hair thin and or go bald completely, right? These guys would just have bedraggled looking hair, and of course this is part of the rise of all these stupid periwigs that we see, right? We're going to try to complete these quests, run down a few of these guys here. We'll help this guy. I will be auto-resolving a lot of these, right, where it's lopsided. Don't worry, I won't subject you to those. So syphilis would kill its host in a lot of cases, and of course a lot of cases the guys would lose their hair as well. That's what led to all those stupid-ass wigs that you see that were really popular, of course made extremely popular by Louis XIV, who was a pretty notorious philanderer, like most French kings. Louis XIV almost certainly had syphilis, got himself a nice big hair red wig, or whatever the fuck you want to call those, periwigs, and the next thing you know, almost all the nobles all across Europe were wearing these stupid wigs because they were getting syphilis. Some of them, of course, who didn't have syphilis, they would wear them because it became fashionable, a sign of the times. I know that's disgusting that they would wear these big powdered, stupid-looking wigs today. Like, the only people that wear them are the silly folks in the British Parliament and shit like that, or magistrates, they call them, I think, still in Europe, or at least England for all their judges, right? This shit is... part of the reason is syphilis. Well, so today, and this is the case with most diseases, syphilis evolved to be less harmful to the host, right? Diseases generally evolve like this. If they're deadly to the host, and by the way, the host of syphilis, you know, it'd be a horrific slow death. If that host died, obviously there's less chance it could fuck women, that host, and then spread syphilis, which is not good for the disease. So organisms like this, microbes or whatever the fuck, these are scientifically, or I guess evolutionarily, inclined towards becoming less lethal over time. And the reason is simple, and that's so that the host can live longer. If it kills the host right away, it's very difficult for the disease to spread, things like Ebola and stuff like that. So that's one of the interesting things about syphilis, is today it's just kind of an innocuous STD. Back in the day, it was lethal, and or you lost your hair. You got all kinds of other health problems from syphilis. You would get pustules and all kinds of nasty shit. Sort of interesting, fascinating to me how STDs have evolved over the years. And again, I will mix in some historical anecdotes over the course of this campaign, because simply chasing these guys down with 60 weapon speed and stuff like that's not going to be able to entertain you guys for vast quantities of time. This is all a necessary process of the early game. You're basically just picking on weaker foes here, helping caravans, and these really are your Tale Worlds design training wheels to help you play Bannerlord. You want to generally have an advantage in battle early on. You want to outnumber your opponent, and then as you get stronger and more comfortable with your skill set, tactics, etc., you can start challenging more audacious hosts. So we will mix in some historical anecdotes like that as my brain sort of happens to think of these along the way. So, of course, upgrading with, and I should mention the strategy here again, we're trying to balance our funds. Right now, I'm in full upgrade mode. We're trying to increase our morale so I can recruit prisoners. We're collecting all the loot. And every single time I can get, like, this is a really fast sword. It's much shorter, but let's try this. We'll use that instead of that very slow scimitar. We're going to be upgrading kind of slowly. And there will be periods where I don't show you all the upgrades, just like I'm not going to show you every single bandit battle. I think to this point, most or all of the steps in this campaign will be shown, right? And that's because the very early stages, I know some guys struggle. I've struggled in the past. I want to be able effectively to show you these. This guy looks really ugly. I have a habit of not recruiting guys, even if they might be useful to our kingdom, if they look like a dipshit with a bowl haircut and a gigantic fucking nose. Looks like Pinocchio crossed with fucking Pee Wee Herman or some shit like that. We're going to pass on that guy. I do like to recruit chick companions just because I like to look at attractive women. It's like a pretty sunset. I'm extraordinarily loyal to my wife. I will never cheat on my wife, but I also have an extraordinarily roving eye. I love to look at beautiful women. I look at the merchandise, I just don't touch. And of course, in her presence, I try to remain respectful, right? I'm not just gawking at every chick around her, because that's almost as bad as cheating. These little tiny anecdotes as well, I will try to pass on to you fellas. I don't know if they'll be of any use to you, but I would say be loyal to your gal, use your eyes respectfully, and I think things will generally go better for you. Sunglasses are your friends. All right, so again, continuing to make sure we have 3 or 4 of all these food items. Sometimes you'll run out. Some places simply don't have enough, or you'll run out of a rare thing. You get more Steward XP if you have all 9, but the more the merrier, right? If you have 7, it's better than 4, 3 is better than 1, etc. Right? You're going to get more EXP, and it sort of is one of those passive EXP things. You're going to see me gaining levels just as we run around with our army, and that's because our steward skill is going up through the roof, right? Your per level. Okay, another battle here. We're just going to. I might do a little bit of tactics here. We can lay out an archer square or an archer line like that. But again, it's another one of these battles against this sort of pathetic, unarmed or unarmored bandit party here. Your EXP per level, of course, is based cumulatively on all the different things you're getting skill points for, and Steward really is one of the easiest ways to gain level early on, right? There are other skills that are comparable, but for this campaign, it's double benefit. Not only is Steward skill going up and getting us levels, but Steward skill means more units that we can control with our army, and that will be vital once we enter the mercenary stage, right? If you're a mercenary and you have 12 troops, 15 troops, you can't do much. Right? I presume at that stage you would be a good fighter yourself, but I find it better to have 40, 50, 60 troops in the mercenary stage, and preferably at least 50% archers. That way our guys don't have to wade into battle. my captain was like, attack! I love it's called Immersive Battlefield. That's the mod that makes all these noise. All the guys yell and shit every time you send them to charge. It's an extremely good mod. I would say it's definitely one of the best as far as immersion in the battle, right? Your units echo your commands, so you'll tell, the first division to charge, and then the captain of that division will then repeat that, right? Charge! As if your own men standing 20 feet from you can't hear him. That guy will say it as well with his own unique voice. So Steward skill, again, we're going to continue to focus on that. And we're going to just pile up EXP, pile up gold, pile up troops here as we as we take this caravan to the opposite side of the world. It seems like I don't know where this guy's going. It gets disconcerting because you fail the quest if you don't continue to follow him. But look how far north we are now. Fortunately, we're not at war with Khazate. I don't think it'll actually send you into dangerous territory with the guy, but I don't really know. Of course, I'm not a mercenary, so nobody hates me yet. You know, we're not gonna get attacked even if a country's at war with the Asurai here. You're just kind of like a neutral character. All right, so this guy's a warrior. We will add him. I like a big beast warrior or two for the army, right? It's nice to assign those guys as the captains, as the aforementioned captains. We'll do some more housework here. And again, there will be periods where I don't show you all this, but there will also be just brief moments like this where I do a little bit of narration. You got to keep the financial situation straight, right? You got to continue to have as many types of food as possible. You'll see me going in here trying to make sure we have 3, 4, 5 items of each. But you want to keep your troop upkeep from overrunning your funds. And right now, the way that we're supporting all these troops, of course, is loot, mostly loot from all these little skirmish battles, right? We'll pick up a few tools. You'll see me pick up a few tools at almost every stop, and that's because of those quests I've mentioned before, where if you have tools, it's just a fetch and seek kind of thing. All right, well, seems like a good spot for me to take a piss. You can see there hasn't been a whole lot of change in the frontier. I'll talk more about that in a second, and what we're going to do with the campaign map. This quest we're going to fail. This other quest dragged us too far away from it. It just is what it is. We're halfway to Clan 2, or almost halfway to Clan 2. And I think that's where you can become a mercenary. We'll definitely pick up some of these Khazate troops, right? I like Khazate troops. And so I don't want a massive amount of grain, so you'll see me dump grain, especially when we can get a little decent price for it. You want to maintain your party speed. It's vital that we're moving fast, both so that we can track down people we want to attack, keep up with caravans, or obviously if you want to be able to run down somebody you're trying to attack, a bandit party or something like that. We've got a good amount of money now. Some of these are future Khans guards and shit like that. We'll start taking on some of these Khazate units. I've got no problem adding a few Khazate units. And I think we're very close to doing the old mercenary stage at this point, right? We're developing a pretty good-sized force here, 50 units. You can do mercenary work, I think, as soon as you hit Tier 1. So we're eligible for that. That's probably the kind of thing that should be in our near future here. Do a few more upgrades. We're going to continue to recruit troops. I don't mind having some Imperial troops because I'd love to have some Sergeant Crossbow. You know, you got to start off from square one. You got to kind of have a long vision of where your troops are going to come from. Now, I won't be running all the way up to Botania to pick up Botanian Fiend Champs and stuff like that. Everybody knows the Fiend Champ is probably the best unit in the game. Either that or the Khans Guard. Oh shit, look at this gal. I like the look of this gal. Oh, it's Charlize Theron, right? Doesn't that just look like her? And she probably swings a mean axe, Shield Maiden. Yeah, so I want to recruit this gal, if nothing else, because it's nice to look at, right? It's a nice sunset. I think we will try to add her to our army as soon as we get to Clan Tier 2. And the Asurai are at war with the Southern Empire, so it does make sense for me now that we go be a mercenary for the Asurai. That seems like the next step here. Could pick up a few troops, but that makes the most sense. Again, our food situation, you'll see me do this early on. Again, I'll be skipping a lot of this later on. I won't drag you through all this. I just continue to emphasize this is probably the easiest way to level early in a campaign. And again, to find out which food you have, you just click over here in any one of the bars that don't go down. See, we don't have any grapes, so I'll take all their grapes and their date fruit. And always pick up a few tools. I mean, I think at this stage I've covered that point. You want the tools because there are quests where all they ask for is tools, and if you have a bunch of tools on hand, you can simply give these dipshits some tools, and they usually, of course, give you better relations and oftentimes some decent loot. Alright, so it's kind of time to come down and see if we can't join the Aserai here as a mercenary. So they are fighting the Southern Empire here, and it looks like they're going to be wrapping this up soon. So we'll gather some more troops here. Engage in a little quest action here. Don't really need any food items now. I do this sort of by instinct. What quest is this? Bandit base. These are good quests for sure. You get money and you get to clear out the bandit base, which you want to do anyways. So we will take advantage of that, and it's pretty close to us here. So now we're going to wrap this up. We should be able to join the Aserai here as a mercenary. We're also scouting for a wife. This Salma, she looks a little scary to be a wife. The wife process is a little foreign to me still. So I can already get a wife, it looks like. Oh, so a Nidha. So we discovered this in the practice campaign. For whatever reason, they're eager to marry off some of these gals early on here. We just want to be... No, we can't be a vassal till tier 2. We just want to be a mercenary. 130 gold per influence, or however that works. We're now going to make some money killing the Aserai's foes here. The Southern Empire.
I don't think I know you.
And I'm trying to sort of see the different family members. You have to actually meet them. It's kind of a strange process. But the gal I'm looking for, some of you guys probably know who I'm thinking of, is Arwa. A-R-W-A. And she has a really nice mix of skills. She's a warrior queen. She's not actually a queen, of course. She's a warrior. She's got some skills. Of course, that quest was, we got pulled away from that. This fucking caravan pulled us thousands of miles away, and there's no way to complete both of those quests, of course. That's just, it is what it is. But Arwa's the gal we're shooting for. Of course, we'll definitely pick somebody else if she gets married or killed or however it goes. But we're gonna pick up a wife here before too long, because again, we're hoping to have some children for the stalling process, right? Part of the reason I'm stalling is that I want some of these children to come of age. 10%. All right, so here, this is a good example. 20% garrison wages in Govern Castle. You cannot be a governor. As far as I know, the main character cannot be. So this is an easy choice, right? We get better workshop production, and the other perk is worthless, right? So some of these they're designed more for captains, for your governors, right? That may be a harder decision with a governor. I want these companions involved, so let's get rid of these master archers. I like having master archers for hideouts just because, and again, don't worry, I'm not going to subject you to 40 of these. We'll probably do 3, 4, 5 of these. Maybe not even that many. I charge and fire at will. Of course, for some reason or other, they're on hold fire. I guess they're trying to be stealthy. And of course, we're getting some javelin practice here, right? Chucking javelins right through the fucking spleens of these motherfuckers. And my aim, you can tell from my aim, I still need some work. That's okay. Our companions are up here getting, I can look down, they're getting skill points. These are really beneficial for companions, right? You do want to do every single hideout you can. Of course, it helps that we have the RTS mod. This is probably pretty painful for an experienced player using the console. Don't worry, I'm not going to dig you guys the whole thing. I'm not going to be giving you elbows in the ribs just because the console is not as awesome as a PC. But it is what it is, right? This RTS mod makes these, I dare say, enjoyable. We can just kind of hurry through. I know what the developers are obviously trying to do here is create some ambiance and exploration, and oh, you know, this is a real bandit hideout. But once you've done once you've done 2 or 3 of these obviously become rather run-of-the-mill. So the important thing, of course, is that we win, and I'll mention that most of you guys already know your main character cannot get knocked unconscious in this. Otherwise, it's over, right? Your guys just run or whatever. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if that bug pops up again. Again, I've got this bug where sometimes it goes black during this process. Hopefully not here. These guys might fuck us. All right, so we can see what's going on here, which is bad news for our enemy because we're going to be able to come in here, throw some javelins into their back, get some EXP. We lost Lid Iron Belly. I like that name. Iron Belly ate shit, but the rest of us get EXP. We get all kinds of skill levels and hopefully some good loot. We free some prisoners here. We'll take all these prisoners. I'm trying not to harm our morale too much with prisoners. Oh shit, this is beautiful. Look at this sword. A tier 5 sword from this hideout. This is really why you need to do hideout clearing early on, not to mention all the quest money. I mean, we just hit a jackpot with this. Maybe you can get better items than that, but that's pretty amazing. 3,000 gold as well, right? We're very quickly getting ahead in the money game. We still have to be careful. There is a stage where money starts to become not important, but okay, Wazoo's got one more skill point. I'm going to be maxing out riding early on because, of course, the whole game I'm going to be riding on a horse. That's not actually true. I will be on my feet sometimes, but most of this campaign I'm going to ride a horse. Right, so this is what we want to do. We want fights here. Now, you can auto-resolve this, but in my experience, you suffer a lot of losses, especially when that blue bar is almost halfway. So we'll do a few of these battles. I recognize these are not the most amazing things to watch, but I'm just going to fight a few of these. We'll do some fairly basic tactics. A kite to kill box. I can set up my units here. Right, the 2nd, 3rd are cavalry, the 4th, 5th are archers, and the 6th will be skirmishers, but I imagine we have no skirmishers at this stage. We're actually just hoping we have guys with shields instead of recruits. Hopefully this 6th is mostly... Yeah, almost everybody there has a shield. That's good. The enemy will be shooting at them and throwing rocks or whatever the villagers do, and shields will be vital, right? You also want that for looters, right? You really want to upgrade guys at least to tier 2 so they have a shield. It's one of the most important upgrades early on. Now, I like archers. We need horse archers here, evidently. I like archers because, of course, a lot of tactics can be performed with archery. Now, I'm specifically... calibrated, I guess, is maybe it's the first word that came to mind. I am extremely well suited for tactics with archers because not only have I played a lot, but a lot of my tactics really revolve around pulling the enemy in, hammering them from multiple angles, kiting kill boxes, etc. Right? We're going to do some reverse slope decline in this campaign. We're going to break out our full bag of tactical tricks, which frankly at this stage, I'm bragging a little bit. Our tactical tool bag looks like that bag Santa Claus has, right? It's like a gigantic... I'm getting smoked in the head here. They're hiding in the fucking olive branches there. So we will back off that. I'm getting, I got some of my units kind of fucked up here. I got cavalry getting off their horses. Again, difficult to narrate these and perform tactics, especially when I'm talking about my Santa Claus bag of tricks, right? At this stage, for Bannerlord especially, I have a particularly large tool bag of tactics that we will be employing in this campaign, and there will be times where I try to really explain it. I don't think I'll be using the RTS overhead very much because I want this to be a fairly standard campaign. But we'll see. If you want to see more tactics, of course, if you haven't watched a lot of videos on Tactical Enlightenment, you want to check out the channel, right? We have just absolutely tons of videos, as the English would say, right? We have just loads of videos on tactics on the channel. We have lots of episodes that show things in great detail up close. And tactics are huge in Bannerlord. And what I mean by that is that they're hugely effective, they're hugely important, and I think most importantly, they're hugely fun, right? You will gain an appreciation for the game that you didn't have before, and you will also have more success, which will lead to more enjoyment, etc., etc. It's a little bit messy here at the end. We're definitely suffering some consequences. I gotta watch my health. I'm real close to being shot off my horse. And no sooner than I said that, I told you earlier I wasn't gonna get off my horse, and here we go. Well, that's what happens when you play these live like this, or when you narrate these live, and we're not save scumming. You're gonna look like a dipshit sometimes. Fortunately, it is what it is, right? We're just gonna move on. We have the RTS mod here, and this is a very successful battle against 60 villagers, 7 deaths, and most of them are gonna be scrub troops here. A ton of upgrades. This is good, and again, you're gonna see me steering towards archers. The Nomad leads to their archer group. I want at least 40 or 50% archers for the mercenary stage, right? We just joined the Aserai as a mercenary. We'll see how long that lasts. What I mean by that is they may go to war with Valandi on the other side of the map or some shit. But, you know, we're going to... the borrowed troops, this is part of that quest. You want to send them back, otherwise you're going to ruin your reputation with them, and you don't get the quest money. You can keep these troops, but we're obviously not going to be dicks. I forgot what that was all about. I think I told the villagers, "Give me your goods." It feels a little wrong, like it's wintertime and or almost wintertime, and we're stripping these poor villagers of all these food. Incidentally, this is the part of the map that I'm hoping to have a kingdom in 7, 8, 9 episodes from now. You know, that again, that'll be after the stall. So maybe these villagers will forget that in the year 1084 I starved these guys out and took all their father's food and shit like that. Or maybe they'll hold a grudge. Or maybe they're just peasants and it won't matter at all. So this guy, I would love to fight this guy and draw this guy in, but I suspect he's going to be able to run away. One of the things that's very important in this mercenary stage is now we are now highly vulnerable for the first time. Right before we were running from. How come that's not working then? I think I've got a problem. I might need to reload the game, or oh shit, this guy's going to chase me down here. 135. So that's the point, right? Now all of a sudden, enemy lords that were neutral because we were just a mercenary running around. If you're just a citizen of the Aserai, they won't attack you. But as soon as you become a mercenary, all of these guys, it lights up red, right? These guys are now your enemy, and they see you as an enemy, even if you've never attacked a Southern Empire force. Of course, we raided a village already, so obviously the word is out. But it's time now to start fighting the Southern Empire, right? We're going to start engaging larger forces. I don't want to be overstocked here because at this stage, speed is very important. That was the point I was trying to make before my brain was squirrel. Speed is critical. You don't want to be overloaded. You want to watch your encumbered. You want to make sure you have plenty of horses. You want to make sure you have plenty of gold so you can pay for your units, right? And that's what I'm doing here. I promise I won't subject you guys to a huge amount of this during the campaign. There will be breaks where I just do a bunch of this sort of housekeeping, buying, upgrading shit, selling loot and stuff like that. But sometimes you're just going to see it because I don't want to break up these episodes too much, or I was in the middle of a thought process. And again, that thought process is here. You want to be very careful with what is called your disorganized state. When you raid a village right where we are, the enemy could be very close, and after you raid, right, we're just going to auto-resolve, like 69 to 12, we'll auto-resolve like every time. My health is kind of low here, so this will be interesting. This will sort of prove if my game is bugged. I have a perk that gives you 30% health after a successful battle. The only reason I'm fighting this battle, and I'm not actually going to fight, I'm going to send my units in here, is because if you auto-resolve, you don't get that perk. You don't get that 30% health at the end of battle. But I'm almost certain I'll get the 30% if we just fight this battle automatically like this. And again, we're using the RTS mod. The beauty of that is that this whole battle will happen almost before I can say it, and I'm speaking as quickly as I can. The purpose of this is I'm trying to increase my health. I don't feel like we can challenge a Southern Empire force with 20% health, and I don't want to sit in a town and just wait, you know, just bore you guys sitting there watching my health go up. So we should get 30% health from this. Of course, we get a little bit of loot, we get a little bit of EXP, we're getting some leadership skills. We'll take all the shit that we demanded from them. We're a little bit overstaffed. But yeah, it's not working. My fucking health is not going up. So I think what's happened is this perk. See right there, it says 30% of lost hit points recovered after each battle. Maybe you guys know why that's not working. At some point or other here, if it continues not to work, I will probably save the game and reload the game. And of course, with the magic of editing, hopefully you guys can barely tell. So again, about that, very dangerous here, right? In this stage, this is where you get captured very easily. It looks like the Aserai are pounding the Southern Empire in this playthrough. We're looking for some fights. 69 we like. 53 infantry, that's good for us. So we're going to, I think, try to track her down. Now you notice how slow I'm moving here. This is intentional because once there's armies all over the place, it's a little bit like a chess match where you're at a very critical stage. You don't want to start making quick decisions because undoubtedly quick decisions are going to be worse than slower decisions. Yeah, she's going to escape, I think. And I don't want to get too close to the castle because sometimes troops will pour out at you from the castle and capture you as well. In fact, even this narrow strip that I'm on right here is dangerous. You really want to sort of consider yourself a highly vulnerable piece of prey at this stage of the campaign. What do we got going on here? We're going to auto-resolve against these looters here. They probably won't. They got one kill. That's fine. we get a bunch of upgrades. These upgrades are what I need the most, right? I need these archers upgrading, because if we get 30, 40 archers, we can really start to make an impact in big battles. Now, what do we got now? Okay, we got a massacre down here. So I'll simply join this for the auto-resolve. But again, just to nail that point to the wall. We get some nice prisoners out of that. That's funny. We joined at the very end and we get some good shit. You really want to be careful at this stage as a mercenary, because it's so easy to get captured and have your campaign just tilted on its head. So you will see me being very cautious. You will see me looking for an opt-out, so to speak, right? An escape plan. As a firefighter, we do wildland firefighting, and not to just regular firefighting. You are always aware of your egress. Egress is a word which basically means how the fuck you're going to get out of Dodge if things go badly. The same thing applies to Bannerlord, being very careful going through here, checking the city to make sure there aren't 4 lords ready to ride out at me. And we are now looking in enemy territory for targets of opportunity. Preferably units that are smaller than us, right? We don't want to be fighting huge armies. We can't defeat huge armies, right? Our maximum probable capacity to kill here, I would say, is... okay, so here's another one. I'm gonna play this one out because I think auto-resolve here will be disastrous. Again, so I will speed through components of these, but... you know, I told fellas I'd be showing you a lot of the campaign. I don't want to auto-resolve every single battle, especially battles where we might suffer 20 or 30 casualties. So we'll play a few of these out. It'll also allow me to sort of finish that point. Very much in the early stages as a mercenary, you are acting like a vulture or a fox or whatever. You are looking for hares that are injured. You are looking for battles where our allies just need a little nudge for them to win. Or you are looking for enemy forces that are seriously injured fighting your troops where you can come in and make the difference. We need to be very careful we don't get engaged by 200 or 300 or 400 Southern Empire fucks. There's a beautiful sunset here. We're engaged in a range battle. We like that because we have at least 30 or 25 archers. Master archers are racking up kill, and Aserai light archers are racking up kills, which is good because those are future Aserai master archers. All right, we're going to kite a few units here. We're going to drag cavalry behind them, and we're going to sort of quasi-hammer and anvil here with our infantry and cav divisions. There's not a huge amount of tactics both necessary or really possible with all these fucking... these fences and shit in the way. Mostly our archers are smoking everything. But obviously our infantry and cav, they're combined to just truck the enemy. God damn, I just cannot avoid taking damage. This is part of the game, of course, in the early game, because your character, man, they just don't have good armor. Right? I've got these ringlets over leather or whatever, and that guy got a good spear right in my side. So 3 deaths, that's very acceptable. Look at all the upgrades, right? 22 upgrades is huge at this stage of the campaign. So we will happily take that trade-off, right? 3 deaths, they're probably recruits anyways. 2 of them hadn't had a bath in a year. We're happy they're dead, and we move on. And I think this is a good spot for me to save. I'm still not getting the health bonus here, so we're going to save and come back with a save game. All right, reload this here. And people call this save scumming or whatever, I guess, you know, or a non-Iron Man. I don't really give a fuck, right? And we're trying to fix what is essentially a bug here. After battle, I should be getting extra health. Basically, every successful battle, or any battle, I mean, you have to win, of course, if you're captured, it doesn't work, but we should be getting 30% health. Now, this is the area I'm talking about here, right? This is a dangerous area, but in this case, it's dangerous for this guy. Now, we want to pin this guy, right? We don't want him to escape to Danustica, and this is perfect. There's nobody else around. He has nowhere really to run to because he's a very similar speed to us. This is just villagers. We're maxed out for troops. You know, I don't mind being over against him, although the problem with that obviously is that we would be more encumbered. We're almost exactly the same speed, so you're going to see me do a little finesse work here. Unfortunately, if you just click him and double click him, a lot of times he'll just weasel around you and get out of what is almost certain to be his death here, right? We're going to capture this guy for sure. He's pinned against the rocks here. We outnumber him significantly. Of course, we're still on normal player damage. This whole campaign, I'm going to use normal player damage, and I will probably show that by instinct. So we got some water here to play with. I have no idea what he's going to do. I always assume that the enemy's going to charge me. You know why? Because if they do, you're ready for it. If they don't, then you can advance on them, right? You don't want to give them the advantage. In Bannerlord, just like the Civil War, just like many other wars, if you can get the enemy to come to you, it's better than you going to them. Think about the most obvious part, your archers. If your archers are running forward while the enemy is shooting you, that's already a big advantage, right? In this case, of course, we have water between us, so if they're dumb enough to cross the water here, they're just going to get completely dissolved by our archers. And I think what I'll do here, I think I'll sweep around to that stretch of land over there. Of course, we're not stupid. We're not going to run through the water here. I know my troops are running through the water. They're just getting in position. But I mean our attacking units, this cavalry. In fact, let's get archers stretched out over to the enemy flank here. Let's give them some angles to shoot at. We already have the edge in this battle, but a lot of these battles here, it's important that we fight with some level of efficiency, because if we suffer 20 or 30 losses here, as you might suffer with F1, F3, or sergeants in charge, the campaign is so much harder. Right, we're looking for 15 casualties or less here, right? We're looking to mow down some Imperial heavy horsemen here. They do have good cavalry, but they don't have very many of it. It's mostly the Equite, or I think it's Equite, this tier 3 fella here. But these guys will still kill your troops, right? They still stick a spear in their face. And they're obviously, some of these guys are highly armored. And there's the Lord, right? They've got a Lord running around. That guy will fuck you up. But our archers are working here. I'm kind of trying to fuck with their archers while our archers work. That's why our cavalry are over here. Their infantry must be crossing the water. They are. So those guys are absolutely fucked. They got archers shooting them from the side, and of course we can charge once they arrive. If they're not all dead, our infantry can just combine charge. So we'll send our cavalry to attack their archers here, concentrate our attack on their infantry here. 6 feet deep of water. The nice thing here is that we're not going to have to bury anybody, right? They just become part of the marsh. These guys are fucked, and they can't move. We're gaining levels. Of course, I'm getting speared. Man, I'm just a magnet for damage this episode. These guys are just on me. Get the fuck off. It is very humbling early in Bannerlord when you play. Of course, I've been used to playing elite characters now for a couple years, and I'm playing this guy with 60 one-handed skill and 52 riding or whatever. It's a humbling experience for sure, but of course it makes you better, right? If you can play at this level, as the character levels up, we're just going to become enormously powerful. We're taking every single archer prisoner for sure. I mean, I'm not going to take every one, but you know what I mean by that. Every higher level archer prisoner for sure, because right now we have 2 goals: rack up money and rack up archers, right? We want at least 30 or 40 for this mercenary stage, where we're going to make our real bacon. Our real money in this early mercenary stage is keep defense. I am a highly seasoned defender of keeps and castles. If you, again, a first time episode watching one of these on the channel, I have literally defended 3/4 of the castles and or cities in the entire map. I am a highly experienced tactical commander of castle defense. So auto-resolve these small villages here. I feel bad. I'm a guy of the people, right? I'm like the guy who gives a warm meal to a homeless guy, and here we are just sacking and raiding these villagers. But it is what it is, right? It's part of the early game. These are ostensibly our enemies, so we're going to raid their shit, and we're doing that to get stronger. So it's like we're corporate raiders or some shit like that. That's kind of what it feels like. We're that despicable corporate raiders, the guys that will like fire all their employees as soon as profits start to go down, and the company, then the company's stock rallies, right, because profits go up. And this is a disaster. So our meal train just vanished, right? Our apple cart got upset. Choose your analogy. The Aserai now have, they're at war with a mercenary clan, but they're not at war with any kingdoms. And good luck finding these mercenaries, right? They could be anywhere on the map. You can kind of roughly see where they are, and most of those locations are not nearby. So I don't want to say this episode is over, but this episode just got a lot less interesting. And I'm worried about this kind of stuff, right? At this stage in your campaign, as a mercenary here, this Brynja gal, as soon as we hit tier 5, we are recruiting this hot gal. I don't want to dump any of my current companions, but as soon as we get tier 2, We are, I wish I could change her name. There's mods and shit where you could change their name, but that's for sure Charlize Theron, who's that gorgeous, I think she's a South African model. So we've got plenty of loot. We've got plenty of good equipment here. But we're in kind of a difficult spot here for me as a narrator, trying to keep you interested. Here's your options. Basically, I could go somewhere else. We can upgrade a skill or two here. I'm a little bit tempted to just put everything on pause, but we'll see what we're going to do here. Well, with editing, that should be just kind of a blink for you. About a day passed. I made a decision. What I'm going to do here is essentially try to do some quests, which I know is not the most exciting thing. I'm really hoping that somebody declares war, either the Southern Empire, so that we can join them. We're going to do this tournament here. Of course, I'm going to do lots of tournaments, and I'm not going to show you these all. I do want to show you guys at least a handful of tournaments, because I think tournaments are especially in the Imperials, the easiest thing in the game. And I'll just explain my process as we're going here. Right? I do not have elite combat skills, but what we're going to do here, besides letting them duke it out, right, is we're going to do lots and lots of Taekwondo karate. Right, we are going to kick guys. Now, this situation here, you don't want to do anything. In fact, I'm getting my ass kicked. All you want to do here is just run around and let these guys kill each other. Now, this guy's so weak, I can just throttle him. Didn't I kill you yet? What we want, though, is we want these guys to fight each other, and you can backdoor the guy. he's mid-yell, and he gets cut down. But here's the key with tournaments, and I'll really explain it with this guy. You hold your shield up, and you get your kick ready, right? As long as your timing is decent, as soon as they swing your weapon and you block it, you just kick. And as soon as you kick, you get a swing off, right? As soon as it happens, move towards the guy and swing your weapon. It's an automatic hit, for unless they're an incredibly elite defender. And frankly, you can just truck your way through these tournaments. Now, obviously, it doesn't work with Britannia or Valandia, but if you're playing an Imperial campaign or you're fighting a tournament in Imperial lands, you really should almost never lose. I guess if you're fighting an elite in an elite situation, or maybe one of the 16 matches where it's 16 people. Now, this guy has really high-end one-hand skill. This is Wahan the Golden, but again, he's just torched by the same strategy. Maybe some people consider that cheese of not parrying and chamber blocking or whatever, but I'm also doing part of this campaign to show guys who've struggled before, right? You really should be just trucking through arenas like this. And of course, you get nice equipment. We're definitely going to do some more arenas here. One of the quests that I'm definitely thinking that would be good for us to pursue here is another one of those protect the caravan quests. And one of the reasons is that you can go from town to town to town to town and hopefully get several more arenas, right? If we go to 5 towns, there might be 3 or 4 arenas. The arenas kind of move around, little RNG nature. And again, I'm making sure my food is correct here. You want somewhere at this stage, you want somewhere between like 8 and maybe 12 of each food item, and you're buying food. If there's not 8 to 12, you're buying more. That way our steward skill continues to go through the roof. Again, we want 100 troops plus so that we can challenge some of these, well, I was going to say Southern Empire lords, but whoever it is that we end up fighting, right? We're going to fight somebody at some point. Now, some of these quests will do. I don't really know a lot of these. So this guy wants prisoners or war criminals. I think we have some of those. So let's try this. Again, I said before in episode 1, I'm not a quest master. I don't know these very well. Most of them are just kind of the silly, I want this, you go fetch it, I give you this kind of thing. It gets a little bit boring. I think this is working right. Are these prisoners going to this guy? He wanted 15. I'm giving him some of these bandits. I brought you some men. I don't know. Did I just fuck up and donate these out into the thin air? I don't know how this works, fellas. So hopefully that works. I brought you a few men. Let's settle up. Oh, okay. So he gives me a huge amount of gold, 4,400 gold, right? Those are the kind of quests you obviously want to pursue early on in the game. It's not glamorous. It's not fun even. It's kind of boring. But this is part of the process of this early game, right? A lot of guys struggle with cash management. It really is about just doing those simple, small things, right? We're going to do as many of these little silly quests as possible. We'll help this guy with brigands. There's a bunch of brigands, in fact, right in front of me here. And since we have so many horses, this guy ran right at us like they were suicide. Come with us. We want to send troops. I don't know what happens if you collect them and add them to your army. That was one of the options there. Maybe that fucks up the quest. Who knows? But we're gonna take care of some of these brigands. And don't worry, we're not gonna do quests for the next 4 hours of this campaign. I'm just doing this for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm really hoping somebody gets somebody somewhere starts to get aggravated and goes to war with somebody, and then we'll join one of those sides as a mercenary. So let me talk about that here while I chase down a few more bandits just to complete this quest. I'm definitely forming an RPG element with Wazoo. What is his element? Wazoo likes money. We're going to go ahead and role play that this guy's been poor his whole life, and like a lot of people, how come I can't catch this guy? There's another bandit that's making me look silly. We're just hemorrhaging funds here. They were slower than us, and all of a sudden they're faster than us. I don't know, maybe it's the terrain or something that I looked at their speed. We just need one more of these. I don't know if I'll be able to chase these looters down. But Wazoo is effectively going to be a little bit of an avaricious character. I better explain that word or restate. He's going to be a highly greedy, almost to a despicable level character. Oh, here we go. What was that? That was one of those Jawals. 89. Well, this might be a real challenge here. So this guy is the one clan that's at war still with the Asurai. So we'll definitely fight here if they don't run away from us. We can't run them down. God, they got a lot of camels. This is going to be a real challenge. But to finish that point, Wazoo likes money, and he's not opposed to fighting for the other side. We're going to say he has no nationalism, right? He has no loyalty towards the Asurai at this stage. I will talk more about that. I think this one makes more sense for the time being. Again, I will get deep into the weeds on perks, but first we have a battle. And again, the point you need to understand is that we may be a mercenary for 3 or 4 different kingdoms in this campaign. You can just literally go around the map and sell your services to whoever, and you get variety with that. This guy looks like he's 12. You get variety with that, but obviously you also have the chance to make a lot of money. And since there's no wars going on here, obviously we need to seek war, right? Alright, so we got snow. That's good. It's going to slow these camel fuckers down. We got some hills over here. Maybe we can use... What I'd really like, though, is trees. So there's some trees back here. We got trees and hills back here. So this will work. So here's what I'm going to do is we're going to bracket the enemy here. We're going to do 2 different archer divisions, infantry in between them on both sides. It's like a sandwich. And what we're going to do is essentially slow down their initial wave, shoot them full of arrows, have an archer division on top of this ridge firing down on the units that are fighting. How deep do these trees go? So the line of sight is shit back there, so we're going to use this area out front here. I'm not actually taking advantage much of the trees other than the fact that this rock wall will slow their camels from charging through. So one archer division behind. We will have another archer division kind of in between, so to speak, to bait the enemy with heavy cav. And at this stage, a heavy cav is sort of a laughable term for them. Our cavalry with their pathetic shields and weak armor. Holding the line here with infantry behind him. It's sort of an amateur version of shield and shock, which is a strategy I'll talk about more. But what we want to do is we want to bait these guys, and I'm acting as bait here right now. We want to slow them down, distract them, and then once those guys are slowed down by that cavalry and infantry wave, attack them with infantry, and then pound them with arrows. Now, I forgot that these guys have tons of javelins, so that's going to make this even harder. These archers here represent a threat to me, but as long as we can keep them kind of back from the main action, I think their own camels will get in the way of those archers really helping. They have a little tiny infantry division. It's kind of a sad infantry division. And these Jawals, unreal. I hit my own guys through all these camels. These Jawals are actually one of the minor clans that I plan on using in this campaign, and I should spend 20 seconds on that. I know, again, I jump around like I've got ADHD. That's simply because I'm trying to narrate and I'm thinking of different points while I'm still trying to do tactics and not get killed, right? There's a lot going on. This is going to be a difficult battle. This is a fuckload of camels. It's actually really funny looking. They have like 40 camels here. Everybody's 8 foot tall. Even though I'm the tallest guy in the battlefield for sure, I feel like I'm a miniature swinging my sword way up at all these camels. There's some chance that these camels are upgraded, by the way. And what I mean by that is that this is not normal. I have a mod that increases the camels that are available in the game. And so there's some chance that the AI is using them. I don't know if this is normal to have camels where I almost can't reach these guys. They're so tall. But that's one of the mods I'm using because I've always felt it was ridiculous and unbalanced that camels suck so bad. So it'll be another mod that I talk about more, and it'll be in the description video. But to finish that point about the Jawal, I am going to say that while this character doesn't have a lot of nationalism, right? He has no... they're routing. Wow, this battle, that was pretty quick and easy, actually. These archers, as soon as their camels melted away, these archers gave up. This character here, and for those who don't know, is not going to be the main character for this campaign. I know that's a hard concept for most guys to understand. What we're going to do here is intentionally stall. 15 years are going to pass by, and I'm hoping that either this guy's son or his daughter will effectively be the main... hero of the campaign. Now, I'm just doing this to farm some athleticism and one-handed skill. So the point is that this guy is going to have a little role-playing element to him. He's a greedy guy that used to be poor. He's 7 foot tall, but his son, and he doesn't have no patriotism at all, but his son is going to be a very patriotic, less money-grubbing character, right? And of course, all of this is something I've played out in my head as a good storyline. But these Jawals are a clan that I plan on having and using a lot in the campaign, and seeing how dynamic we can get with Jawals, right? They're sort of picked on by people. If you go to chat groups or whatever, people will tell you that Jawals are worthless. Half the guys don't have armor. They're kind of awkward. Look at this fucking beautiful sword. And we get all this loot. I mean, this is incredible loot. Of course, this is what happens when you defeat noble armies, right? I get a camel saddle. I get a fine turban here to put on my head. I get a leopard pelt. We're going to role play for a little while with this guy with his leopard pelt. I get some nasty javelins here. We're upgrading like our whole character from one battle. But anyways, the point is, though, is that my eventual character is mostly going to use Jawal and Beni Zalal for the 2 different clans that are part of our kingdom. I don't know how much I'll use them. We get a little save in here. It reminds me to look down at the clock. This campaign has been ripping for a long time. For some reason, some of their troops are allowed to escape here. I don't think we can catch them here, but I think we're going to wrap this episode up. It's now over an hour, or at least approaching an hour. So we're going to wrap this up. I fit in a lot into this episode. Oh shit. He just joined another kingdom, the Western Empire. So we can't catch him. Everybody's a pacifist in this campaign. That's unfortunate. We're going to stall for a little bit. When I come back to this campaign, it might be a month or 2 after this, because there's no wars going on around us, and unfortunately I can't make these guys fight. So I might go up here to the Western Empire and join them as a mercenary. We shall see. I'm going to spur the action no matter what, fellas. Don't worry. We're not going to just sit in a tavern and wait for war to be declared. We're going to kick the hornet's nest, even if we have to do the kicking. So we'll do a few last little perk upgrades here. Let's try this. Let's do this armor weight. That way we move faster. I usually choose the other one. We've got more riding skill, medicine, leadership skills are maxed. The rest of our characters, not too much. We're going to wrap this episode up. Of course, you want to subscribe to see more episodes from this campaign, more episodes from the channel itself. I appreciate you, fellas. Please comment and like and all that kind of good stuff. I better wrap this episode up, and I will see you, fellas, next time.